If you're ready to buy a new car, you need to figure out how much car you can afford. So before you start browsing online listings or go to the dealership, you need to run the actual numbers. And today, I want to share with you a couple of tips and tricks and some budgeting rules to figure out exactly how much you can afford and maybe what types of cars you should consider based on how much money you make. Hi, I'm Jacob Wade with Lunch Money. I'm a financial coach, and to be honest, cars are make or break for your finances. If you choose the wrong thing, if you buy the wrong vehicle, if you spend the wrong amount of money, it can destroy your budget for years and years, and you can become financially behind and get financially stuck. So today, I want to break down a couple of car buying rules, tips, and tricks to help you budget for your vehicle, figure out what you can afford. We'll run some actual numbers, and then I'll share with you a couple of the top vehicles to consider purchasing so you don't blow the budget and you can still have financial peace. Okay, first things first is we're going to discuss the 24-10 rule, the 20-4-10 rule for purchasing a vehicle. This is a good guideline to help you stay within budget and buy a reasonable vehicle. And if you happen to get it with a car loan and don't buy it cash, to be able to pay it off and not waste a ton of money on interest. So here's how it breaks down. If you're going to buy a vehicle with a loan, you're going to need to put at least 20% down on that car. So if you're buying a $10,000 car, for example, you need to put at least $2,000 down. If you're buying a $20,000 car, you need at least $4,000 down on that car. This does a couple of things. Number one, it gives you equity in the car right away and boosts your payoff a little bit quicker. And number two, it just makes you accountable. It forces you to save some money to showcase that, yes, I can afford this car because look, I could save up $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to put 20% down on the car. The number four in this rule is because you should only get a 4-year loan term or less. That means you're going to pay off this car in 48 months or less. Now, there are car loan terms for up to 96 months these days, which is, to be honest, insane. But dealers and even buying online, they'll offer this and be like, look how low your payment is. Do you know why they want you to get the low payment? Because you're going to pay way more in interest over the life of the loan. And then the number 10 represents that you should spend no more than 10% of your take-home pay on all transportation costs. That doesn't just include your car payment, that includes gas and insurance and repairs and maintenance, all the other costs that come with owning a car. So in the next step, I'll show you how we can break all that down. So I wanted to share with you this car loan calculator from calculator.net. It's real simple, but here's just an example of trying to figure out how much the car could cost and what the total cost of ownership might be. So if you have a $15,000 car and you do the 48-month loan, that's the maximum loan you should get, and interest rate's about 8% these days, you're going to want to put at least $3,000 down. That's at least 20% of that $15,000. And again, let's say, I don't know, you live in Colorado and you got about a 7% sales tax rate. And then registration, title, other fees come to about $1,500. And you're going to wrap all that stuff into the loan. If you hit calculate, you'll see that the monthly car payment on this type of vehicle purchase is going to be about $355 a month. Now, that's only one piece of your transportation costs. We'll add the others in next. So the total loan that you're going to get is $14,500 because you're wrapping the sales tax, registration, and all those fees into the loan itself. If you uncheck this box, you would need more than just the $3,000 up front. You're going to need $3,000 plus registration and fees plus sales tax. So instead of saving $3,000 for a down payment, you would need actually $5,550 to be able to purchase this $15,000 car. But if you wrap it into the loan, again, you have a higher monthly payment, but lower upfront costs. So $3,000. The total cost of your loan payments is going to be $17,000, which means you're going to pay about $2,500 in interest. It's not great, but it's better than stretching this out to a 72-month or a 96-month loan in some cases. The total cost of this vehicle purchase with all fees, interest, and everything included is going to be $20,000. So you can see right off the bat, purchasing a vehicle and getting a loan you're going to spend a little more than the car actually costs, but you need to account for these things, and that's all wrapped into your monthly payment. I do want to give an example of if you got a 72 month loan payment and you hit calculate here, You would spend less, right? Almost $100 a month less is your loan payment, but the total cost of the vehicle is going to be an extra $1,300. So you're going to buy a $15,000 car and spend $21,367 on this vehicle just because you wanted to stretch out those loan payments. You're going to pay over $1,000 more, almost $1,400 more in interest payments alone, just stretching it out. So if you can afford the extra $100 a month, you're going to save yourself a ton of money in the long run. So this is how you figure out your car payment and what the total cost of this vehicle is actually going to be. All right, now that you know how to estimate what your car payment could be, even just on a used vehicle here, you need to add in all the other costs of owning a vehicle, especially if we're going to hit that 10% of your take home pay number. We got to figure all these things out. So if your car payment's about $350 a month, there's also a ton of other costs. Number one is insurance, right? You have to have insurance, and insurance can range wildly depending on the vehicle you get, the state you live in, all those things. But it could be anywhere from like $100 a month for your vehicle up to $200 a month or more. So you need to make sure you account for that. Next is the actual fuel costs. Now, again, with electric cars, it's a little bit different, but you do got to pay to charge the thing or charge it at home. So there is some electricity cost. But let's say you have a gas running vehicle and you could spend, $200 a month if you're commuting regularly, sometimes even more. So you got to account for that. Next is routine vehicle maintenance. Think tires and brakes and oil changes. These things do need to happen. Not necessarily every couple of months. Maybe the oil changes you're going to do every 6 months, and maybe you're going to do the tires or the brakes every other year. But you've got to set aside money for that because otherwise those costs will come up and cost you a lot. So setting aside at least $100 a month for routine maintenance is always a good idea. And then you've got registration and tags that happen every year. Again, depending on where you live and the type of vehicle you have, the cost of this is going to vary, but make sure you set aside money for that. It could be a couple $100 a year. And then finally, repairs. Repairs are something that are going to happen, especially on a used vehicle. Things break down. It's got a lot of moving parts. Make sure you set aside money for that. Of course, you can use your emergency fund if something major happens, but make sure you have money set aside in your budget for regular car maintenance and repairs. So as you can see, a $350 a month car payment could quickly become a $700 a month transportation cost line item in your budget. That means if you get a $15,000 car and you have a $350 car payments and you want to add those other costs in there and it's going to be $700 a month for your total transportation costs, you should be making at least $7,000 a month. Now, that might seem unreasonable. You go, man, I make almost $100,000 a year. I take home $7,000 a month. I can only afford a $15,000 car. Well, if you don't want to waste a ton of money on depreciation and on interest costs, and you want to get financially ahead, yes, you can only afford a $15,000 car in that scenario. One of the biggest debates around purchasing a vehicle is, should I buy used? Should I buy new? Should I lease a car? What should I do? Well, in general, the numbers favor buying a used car, even if you have higher maintenance costs. Because when you purchase a new vehicle, you are not only paying a premium for that car, but you are also going to have higher insurance because your insurance company and your lender want to make sure that if there's an accident on that car, you have enough insurance to cover everything. So they're protecting their investments. So your insurance costs could go up. And if you get a premium vehicle, you might spend more on upgrades to the car, upkeep, detailing the car. You might have to put premium gas in it. All of those costs can make it quite a bit more expensive to buy a new car. But what the real killer is, and nobody ever runs this number, is called depreciation. When you're buying a new vehicle, it depreciates, means it goes down in value. In fact, it goes down very quickly those first couple years of ownership. So I just want to show you, there's a cool calculator on caredge.com called the car depreciation calculator. You could just select any make and model. So let's say you do want to get a little bit of a nicer vehicle and you're going to get, a new Infinity. Let's get one of the QX60. And it's 65 grand, and you think you can afford it. You're going to own it for at least 5 years, going to drive it a lot, and maybe you'll get one of those longer term payments, so it's a little bit lower. But if you hit calculate depreciation here, it will depreciate 59% after 5 years. The resale value of your $65,000 car is only $26,371. That means if you buy this vehicle, you will basically lose $40,000 over the next 5 years, in addition to paying high interest on that $65,000 loan, not to mention the sales tax and the tags and everything else that goes with it. So buying used is almost always better than buying a new car. But what about getting a car lease? Well, in general, car leases will still cost you more because they build in these costs to your lease. So they're accounting for depreciation and maintenance and all these other things. So the cost of your lease is going to include those things. It's kind of like if you're renting a home, the homeowner is not just passing on the mortgage cost to you, but also repairs and vacancies and maintenance and all of those other things. So you're going to be paying a little bit more. This is kind of like renting a car. A car lease also has mileage limits. So you can only drive it a certain amount of miles per year. And if you go over those limits, there are penalties. And then ultimately, you don't own the car. Like you have to give it back. You don't own that vehicle, so you don't have the value of that vehicle. So ultimately, buying used gets you far, far ahead financially. So, what are a couple of vehicles that you can buy used to still get a good value out of, but not spend a bajillion dollars on? There are actually some great makes and models that you can find that can fit your budget and they fit different types of lifestyle. So, I just want to share a couple with you. Number one is the classic Toyota Corolla. Now, even if you just get like a 9, 10-year-old version, 2015, 2016, something like that, these cars have a great track record. Even if with higher miles, as long as they've been properly maintained, you can still get a lot more miles out of them. The maintenance costs are very low, and so are the insurance costs, and you can still find them for under $15,000. And honestly, the same goes for its twin on the Honda side, the Honda Civic. Again, a great sedan that allows up to 5 passengers, doesn't have a ton of space in it, but you're going to get great gas mileage, very low maintenance costs. Everything's just easy to work on. Like Honda and Toyota just do it right for reliability and low maintenance costs, and your insurance costs are going to be very minimal. Now, a similar car, but a little bit sportier feel is the Mazda 3, and you can get a hatchback version, so you have a little bit more storage space. Not quite the same gas mileage and reliability standards as Toyota and Honda, but Mazda's been around for a long time, and they've really nailed this one down. Plus, it feels a little bit sporty. Now, you can upgrade to their turbocharged Mazda Speed models, but those are going to cost a lot more money and be more costly to insure. If you just want a great commuter, the Mazda 3 is not a bad option. Again, about 8, 10 years old, somewhere around there. And now, believe it or not, Hyundais are reliable these days, and the Hyundai Elantra is another similar sedan that gets great gas mileage, actually is reliable, and is built in a way that you can service it pretty simply and easily with low costs. And they look a lot better than they used to. Someone in my family used to own an older Elantra, and it wasn't the greatest car, but the modern ones, I would say start at like the year 2017, 18 or newer, are not bad, great used car options, again, for under 15K. And then finally, the Toyota Prius, probably the ultimate commuter car, and they're not as ugly as they used to be, but anywhere back to like 2014, 2015, they have very reliable batteries, and it's made by Toyota, so the engine and all the other parts are very serviceable and simple to maintain. But you can get up to 50 miles a gallon on these things. I actually have a neighbor with one of these, and he's driving it well over 100,000 miles, and this thing is going to keep going strong. So if you want to save the most amount of money, honestly, on fuel and have a simple maintenance item, the Toyota Prius is a pretty good option. Now, again, if you're buying a used vehicle, there's a couple things you should always do. Number one, get a Carfax report. You want to know the vehicle history. You want to know if it's been in any major accidents, if anything has been damaged through flooding, things that would make a car unbuyable and that you shouldn't waste your money on it. Number two, it's really good to take it to a pre-purchase inspection through a private mechanic. So not somebody that the dealership recommends, not somebody that the private salesperson's like, oh yeah, my buddy will check it out. No, no. Pick your own mechanic. They do these things. It's usually a couple $100, but if you're spending 10 to 15,000, it's worth $200 to have them go over everything in the car and point out any flaws, any worn out items, anything that could cost you a high dollar value in repairs sooner rather than later. And they'll basically let you know, hey, is this car solid? Is it worth buying? And it's a negotiation point for you when you're making the purchase as well. So as long as you check the Carfax and get a pre-purchase inspection, you can be a little more confident in buying a used vehicle, knowing that, getting some of these reliable older models can still last a very long time. And finally, I wanted to show you how you can stay within that 24/10 rule right inside the Lunch Money app here. So as you can see, I just put up a sample budget of somebody making about $7,000 a month. And we're using the example of that $355 car payment that we had in this calculator here. And so if you look at that, that's not the only cost, right? So I created a whole subcategory for car expenses and put everything in here. So you got the 355 car payment. That's just one part of it. But you also have fuel costs. So the gas, let's say it's about 150 a month. You're commuting, and car insurance is about 125 just for this vehicle. If you get a reliable vehicle, if you get a more sporty vehicle, more rare vehicle, something that's higher cost to repair, The insurance costs could go up, so watch out for that. And then car maintenance, just setting aside $100 a month, just put that in a savings account just in case something comes up so you can take care of your vehicle as you need throughout the year. But you can see this is $730 a month, which is actually slightly over budget for your $7,000 income. It's pretty close to that 10%, but you can see just affording a $15,000 vehicle when you're making 7 grand a month can be difficult with all the costs associated. So that's why it's so important to run the numbers, run the auto loan calculator, figure out how much your car is actually going to cost. And please don't just go out and get this $60,000 car, right? If we got that $65,000 Infinity, for example, and we'll put 10% down, but you can see the numbers change drastically, massively. And average car payments are over $700 on new car these days. And if you get a nicer one, it's going to be even more. So there's no way this is going to fit in a budget. Even if you make decent money, even if you're taking home in 7 grand a month, it's so worth it to keep your car costs under control so that you can still actually save and invest for the future. So I hope that was helpful breakdown on how much car you can actually afford. And before you go and fall in love with a vehicle, make sure it falls in love with your budget first. Use that 24/10 rule as a guideline to help you stay reasonable with your car purchase so you don't regret it later. Because honestly, if you buy too much car, you're not only going to lose a ton in value and have a lot less money to invest, but you're just going to feel squeezed. It's going to give you less choices with your money. And ultimately, you're going to be working your booty off just to pay for this thing. So it's not worth it. Find a good, reliable used vehicle that has a great track record, low maintenance costs, and is easy to insure. And you will save money and ultimately achieve financial freedom a whole lot sooner if you pick your vehicle right. Now, if you need to run your own numbers, you don't know if your car costs are more than 10% of your take home pay, grab a free trial of the Lunch Money app. Click the link below. You can connect your financial accounts and we'll show you where your money has been going. We actually bring in your past transactions and we'll auto categorize them for you. So we'll show you your gas and your car insurance, your car payments costs, your maintenance, your repairs, and we'll show you, hey, how much have you been spending on average? And if you look at the average and it's more than 10% of your take home pay, you might want to reconsider your current vehicle or your upcoming potential vehicle purchase. So again, click the link below. We'll give it to you for free. You can check it out for 30 days. And if you really like the Lunch Money app and tracking your money and staying on track and you start to save more money, you can pay what you want at the end of that 30-day trial. So give it a shot and see where you stand with your car budget. Now, if you want to figure out how to save money with your existing car, I actually made an entire video here about how you can cut 40% off your fuel costs using this simple driving method. So check it out right here.